Hi and welcome to Folklore Extra. I'm Kayleigh and I'm with Kriss, and we're going to be discussing this week's topic, which was the Enchanted Midwives exploring folklore of fairies and midwives. So how did you find my topic this week then, Kriss?
The interesting one, the one starting question is like, how did you find these stories? Obviously, ignoring things like Wikipedia and things like that, we dive into looking at actual books and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you find these ones?
I was actually researching Mab.
Queen of the Fairies.
And she was traditionally seen as the midwife for the fairy court. But there are also obviously other variations of Mab where she's quite evil. So that then led me down the rabbit hole of, well, she's then evil and she's then not going to be helping her kind, who does help her kind. And I stumbled across loads of stories.
Fair enough, then.
I went down a rabbit hole.
As we're both very, very prone to doing so. Things like that.
Yeah, it just ended up being one of those things that just kind of, once you start reading some of the stories and how far and wide they are and how they all seem to have this common theme of needing human help, it was just one of those, well, I've got to do something on it.
Yeah, it's the nice tie-in of like, why do they need our help? And obviously if Mab's not helping, or if they don't have any know-how themselves, because the gentle folk or anything like that are quite frivolous with a lot of things in their world. So
yeah, everything seems to come with a price, doesn't it? So, they're actually helping the Fae, and the humans are then getting rewarded for it. So that seems quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose no one's really done the dissection or autopsy of the Fae of like, how did they reproduce? I know in, was it Tad Williams's book, The War of the Flowers, there is like he kind of expands upon the whole, there's different Fae of different types, different sizes, different things like that. So each one has their own personification.
It's not something that you can just do one episode on Fae and that's it, because there are so many elements to the Fae. You've got so many theories about different courts and different good and bad creatures within the Fae realm and everything else. And it'd just be too much to cover in one.
Oh yeah, you couldn't do it in like a 10-minute conversation. If not, it would just literally be Fae, lots of them, go, done. I mean, yeah, good Fae, like Fae, they are portrayed in so many mass media now. But you also, like anything like the Arthurian had like the Arthurian legend has the Fae.
Mm-hmm.
That's just England, like the map of Fae up and down England is jam packed with like pinpricks and things like that. And then you add in Welsh, you add in Scottish, you add in the Irish, and then you go up to France and everything. It's just like it's one of those like when you said about the Fae and midwives like that, and how you jump between different countries, like you chose 3 of them, and it was like, okay, if you put a pinprick down for everyone, it'll cover the world.
Yeah,
like Fae are ingrained in our society, then so that does open the question of why.
I think it's that unexplained element before science could explain it. That's got to be the main crux of it. I mean, they didn't have any kind of way of explaining certain things and how they happened, like where women used to leave their children in the woods if there was a certain deformity with them, because they were considered a changeling that they needed to be swapped with the Fae, and the Fae would give them a baby back that wasn't deformed. In theory.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, it didn't happen, but that was traditions and customs.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, so there is like one that did come back.
There must be, because how did the story start?
True.
Someone had to have had something happen. Maybe it was some wild woman living in the forest that went, there you go, you can have mine. Went, stop screaming.
or like, some mad, hermit living in the woods and all that, and basically the child just needs basic chiropractic, and all of a sudden he's done. The child now stands up straight. I wonder if there's a more dark side to this. Like, they tell the story, people like, it's kind of like the children's story to ease the thing of like, oh, don't, the fairies took your brother away, when in fact he's like, your brother did.
Probably.
Or, your child, unfortunately, like in the times and that, was like, your child has a deformity, it's not going to survive, or you're going to take up your life. So how about I go and leave it with the fairies in the woods, aka it's gonna disappear.
It's the same principle of, the dog's gone to live on the farm.
Yeah.
You're never going to see it again.
Or the way that certain, it's a very touching subject for losing child, or sort of, this is basically sort of child murder, but it is the whole certain societies where they just literally, like, a child is born with deformities, throw it off a cliff, or give it to the sea, or, this a hedge way of doing it, of saying, oh, we're just going to give it to the fairies.
That's what I mean. It's that lighter-hearted version, isn't it, of explaining the unexplainable and making something a little bit more consumable to someone that's not as educated, I suppose.
Yeah. But that's also a kind of, I suppose, tied in with midwives. Like the fact that midwives are magical beings in themselves.
They are. I've got a couple of friends, I'm sure they'll love that comment.
Well, it's true. Like, they dedicate the entirety of their profession, the entirety of their career of, like, having to be there for every single stage, the pre-care, the post-care, everything to do with children, like, the miracle that is childbirth. And the sort of, from a science point of view, like, there are certain mechanics which happen, but midwives can get around a lot of things, and that. So, I think add a magical person with a magical fae. Do you think that's...
Yeah, I think so. Women are obviously traditionally considered more magical than men are. And I think that kind of ties in with it. And it's also the fact that, women wouldn't have wanted, and it wasn't appropriate for a man to deliver a child. So for a type of woman who was trained as much as they could have been trained in that time to then deliver something, it would have been seen magical, because women weren't deemed as intelligent as men.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose Odin did nail himself to a tree for 9 days in order to learn the magic of the women.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't a midwife.
No. No, he was very good for that sort of thing. That being said, like, it's always, you see it, like, I know it's dramatised in film, in modern TV and all that, but it's always the classic one where they have the midwife there. And this is like the Edwardian documentary, things like, or even Bridgerton does it so many times where it's like, oh, we have the midwife here, all these complications. Quick, get the male, get the bloke doctor in the room. And it's like, the midwife is there. This person has dealt with so many of these troubles and all that. They've experienced pretty much everything. Yeah,
but that's that typical, don't worry your little head about it. It's always going to be fine. Oh. The doctor's going to be here.
Yeah.
No, it's. I think it is that. It's that comforting, warm feeling of someone that has been through it, most likely themselves, has the more of an understanding of the working knowledge of how a woman's body works in comparison to a bloke, and is able to put that comfort there. It's that magical feeling that they can bring life into this world.
Yeah,
I do find it interesting though that the Fae need human help.
Yeah, that's that. Like, listening to your actual, going through your stories and listening to things like that. It's the Fae requiring human help, but they're still wanting to trick to try and do it.
Like the books that I read recently, where it had the like I said, the Fae on one side of this shield wall, and then you had like this human realm, and then the shield dropped, and everything ensued into chaos, and the Fae hunted the human. That is another story principle that's been applied in other forms of folklore, where the Fae hunt humans. Then why do they need our help? If they're this magnificent type of being, they have magical powers, they live longer than we do, they're stronger than we are.
I suppose it depends on the mythology and things like that. Sometimes they are magical, sometimes they are stronger, but sometimes they are weaker.
True.
But that being said, if I could pitch an idea of why they might need it, and it might be a case of put it into a modern context. You can take probably one of the most powerful people in the world. You take the President of the United States, let's just say. His wife gives birth. Do you think he will know what to do?
Probably not.
No.
Given they're most lawyers.
Yeah. You take some of the most powerful people in the world and give them a simple thing like that. I say simple, it's also a very complex
thing. It's not simple, it's so complex.
I mean, simple isn't something that we've been doing for, hundreds of thousands of years.
I mean, yeah, okay. The time when most of these tales were supposedly meant to have happened, it would have been considered a simple act. Women just get on with it, give birth, that's it.
Or die, unfortunately.
Yeah, so for the Fae to need a human help for that respect, that is why they're needing help for a simple task.
So maybe just the idea of it could be all powerful and things like that, but however, they have complications which they don't arise, and if they don't have access to their own midwives, because I know sort of during especially the medieval period, a midwife would have to go from village to village to village to village.
Yeah.
And there'll only be a small amount. So you often got to go out and go find the midwife, ride out somewhere, come back and find them and bring them in to help out. So maybe it's the same thing for the Fae, where they're like, oh, we're stranded in a place, like in the hedge, that realm between mortal and Fae realm, that they need someone. And someone just goes, oh, I know, let's ask the human.
Okay, maybe. The other thing, the one thing I hated about doing this subject was the Welsh pronunciations. It sucks. It sucked badly.
I heard that stop record go off a few times. I mean, I've done it on a few of my ones as well.
So I'm apologising to anyone who's Welsh that has listened to my pronunciations. I have gone on Google Translate to try and get it to pronounce it. I've even asked my Welsh friends to try and help me with the pronunciation. I'm still going to suck at it.
Keep practicing on that one.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, kind of divergent and things like that, but the Welsh language is incredible. Everything is directly descriptive, but it's the language that inspired the Elven language in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Because of the flow, it's like the rhyme and things like that. So, yeah, I think it's a shame. It's been quite fun to learn some of the Welsh names. Especially when we've gone around Wales and often nudging our co-pilot and going, what's that say? What's that say? How'd you say that? How'd you say this? Like being the ultimate tourist inside, in the bounds of our own kingdom.
Yeah, I think there is so much folklore in Wales as well. It's going to take some getting used to with the pronunciation. I'm even typing them out on my script as phonetically so that I can try and pronounce them right. I'm still probably getting them very wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, our trip to Wales, and that it was trying to guess all the names. I mean, I think the great one was when we were driving through, and you were telling me to take certain directions, just follow the road signs, and I just, out of flippant comment, I just went, well, all written in Welsh, and I don't speak Welsh, even though it just had the arrow saying turn left, turn right.
No, it's just going to have to be something that we get used to, I suppose. But like you said, diversion. Sorry, I'm just apologising because I know it's going to come up.
Yeah.
The other thing I found when doing this, obviously, was I added in the one story on a troll as well, which I know is not technically Fae, but they are usually associated, especially with what I found in a lot of Norse mythology, as being closely linked to their version of a Fae. So I thought it was only right that was kind of added in as well.
Yeah. I mean, the one I do know is that troll covers so much in Norse mythology. Troll can be absolutely anything.
Yeah.
It's just something that's abhuman. It's just labelled troll. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was one of those things that the more that I'm discovering about trolls as I'm coming across them, the more I am finding them in Norse mythology, and they do very much come across in those same stories and the same setups as fairies and fae. I think I don't want to apply a label to them, but for research purposes, I think it's going to end up being that, unfortunately, trolls might just be a darker version of fae.
Fully plausible when they say troll is a concept. It could be the troll under the bridge, the troll across the moors, or the troll something like not the Sealy Court, but more the wild creatures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't it? It was also she followed the midwife in that followed the exact same concept. Like all of them seem to have the same concept of don't take anything, don't accept anything, just get in there and get out.
Yeah, I think it's that fear of the unknown. I like the little touch with the one in Kayleigh where the woman was able to see the Fae when she came back because she used the ointment on her eye to give her the gift of sight. And then obviously she was caught when she saw the Fae trying to steal something from her garden. And, she kind of called out to him to do as any midwife would do and say, how's the mother, how's the child? And that was a slip off and that was it. He took it away by just blowing on her eye. I think that's a nice little twist to this, all the stories being exactly the same.
It is a great twist because she took something from the realm as well.
Yeah.
But without them knowing, so therefore trick the face. I think, could that be why they suddenly took it away from her?
Yeah, because it doesn't seem that that's something that's very common, because obviously you're not meant to ever give anything to a Fae that they could use as ammunition against you. So her being able to be that secretive, when all the women are fussing over the child and anointing the child with the oil, and then she realises what that's for and just going, now's my chance, and doing it herself when they've turned away. That is something that you don't see very often, and someone who's very bold and brazen to do that, especially in something that's very unknown.
I mean, it brings up the interesting idea of the fact that the Fae had to anoint their own child for the child to see them.
Do you think it's because the human world was encroaching so much? Because that's always something that's brought up quite often. That was the one thing I kind of thought about, where their world is being destroyed because our world is expanding and changing and destroying their world, and that says like the knock-on effect that then's happening. And maybe that's the case there, that the children are maybe struggling more. I mean, I've read it in another book series where Fae can't have children anymore unless they mate with humans.
As I say, I'm just trying to remember the novel where that's a concept, like one of the ones I read, where the Fae can't have children, so they have to steal them, or they can create their own sort of things.
So there's a concept of they're having to be stolen, or they're having to have effective half-breeds with humans because of the knock-on effect of how much our world has overtaken theirs and destroying it and lessening their power because they don't have as much nature around them. So maybe that's what the oil is for. It's that they're needing a boost to be able to see their world.
Yeah, and sort of grant them the power of sight, but also maybe the power to see into the human realm as well.
Might be, I hadn't thought of that.
Or see the doors. The Changeling, one of my favourite role-playing games, Changeling, where you play one of the changelings who's come back through there. Like, there's the door, like you said, the nature is being destroyed. And so a new layer is being put upon like that. So to find ways through the hedge, you have to find really obtuse, it's not just a manhole cover or doorway. It'll be something very simple.
Okay.
That stands out, but it's each one of these doorways are closing all of a sudden, and the connection's being lost. And the whole idea is that you play one of the children that's stolen, and you find your way back to the mortal realm.
So as part of the research, obviously you come across stories about Fae where they've been swapped as well, and there's a lot of stories about how they've been swapped and people never really noticed. But then there was one that caught my interest in one of the books that I was reading, where a woman thinks that the child that's in her home has been swapped, and it is a Fae child, not her own. And she remembers a way to be able to test if the child is hers or not. And the only way that you can actually do that is because Fae children are actually older in years than they appear in person. So it's that, the dog years mentality. And they pretend that they can't talk in order to fit in. They're told that they must cry like an infant until they're of a certain age, and then they can start learning to talk. And that's how they have to act. And the only way that you can test if you have a Fae child or not is to do something that will astonish them. But bear in mind that a Fae child will probably be about 100 years old and you wouldn't know it. And the only way to do the test was to boil water in eggshells. So you crack an egg and you use the eggshells on the hearth and boil the water in the eggshells, and it's meant to be something that's so completely out of the norm that the Fae child would then speak up. And in this story, the child does and says, I'm 104. I've never seen this in my life. What on earth are you doing? And that's when the woman realizes she actually has had her child swapped.
Boiling water in eggshells.
Yeah.
I just love this concept of this Fae changeling being found out and driven out and somehow back to its original parents.
Yeah, she takes it back into the woods and demands that her child is given back.
Well, it's just the idea. Can you imagine this changeling has gone back to the realm and suddenly go, look, and just boils it. And you watch the whole of the courtroom just lose their shit completely at this concept. It's like...
But that's the thing. In this story, the size of the Fae are only the size of a baby. So isn't pretty much a teenager in our time frame going into young adult that's the size of the baby that's swapped. Mm-hmm. So they're not fully grown. They wouldn't have known everything, but it still would have been enough that they would know what they have seen and what they haven't.
Yeah. There's just eggshells boiling water. It's Fae stuff. It's
not going to be normal, is it?
No. It's like naming concepts in the Fae. They will never have a true name. You will never know the true Fae.
No.
But the true name is something like the sound of a dewdrop falling on a leaf on a June summer's morning.
As
a human, you cannot comprehend this because your mouth can't pronounce it or anything.
It's the romanticizing imagery that is created for Fae names.
Oh, I know. I put humour on these sorts of things because. But I just like the concept, the eggshell sort of boiling water. So you got this person's right to find if it's Fae. You've got to boil water in eggshell. And the local blacksmith goes, "I've got a better idea," and just whacks it with the side of an iron.
Yeah, but
if it screams really badly, done. Not cane it, but poke it and go.
Well, the funny thing is that the only person that knew this piece of information and kept saying it to all the women that were giving birth was the old woman that lived in the woods, the healer. So that's where the tie-in came with the midwife, because obviously a lot of them traditionally were healers, and they were considered sometimes to be the witch, the old hag. Unfortunately,
yeah, no, everybody hated witchcraft except for when they needed it most.
Yeah, when they needed someone who had that expense and knowledge of herbs and tinctures and medicine and everything to be able to help them. But yeah, the old hag or the witch told her how to astonish a Fae. That's just going to stick with you now.
No, it really is. I'm going to start boiling eggs. Right?
No, please don't boil eggs. Or boil water in eggshells, I should say.
I'm just trying to remember. Again, it's that weird tangent sort of thing going off, but it was reading The Winter King, David Cromwell. It's the birth of Arthur's half brother. I keep wanting to say it's Mordred, Morgren.
You get there.
Yeah, it goes out the top of my head sometimes. But during the birth in the book, it's a difficult birth, and so the king has the Christian priests reading off and writing off and saying all these priests and giving prayers and all that. But the mother is clearly struggling like that until the point he just basically slams open the doors and shouts out, "Fetch me the pagan!" And they have to ride out and go find a local healer, woman healer, to come in. And help with the birth, because it's the prayer's not working. What are we gonna do? More prayer. I don't know.
You're funny, that the prayer isn't working. Yeah. Let's actually go and do something that will help.
Someone like Nanny Og just kicking in the door, going, "Ow! Let's do this." Yeah, I mean, going back to the actual sort of the midwife and Fae and all that. There's got to be so many other stories out there. I wonder if it's like,
there's loads,
or if the same story was actually a combination of so many they just amalgamated into one.
I think there could be a theory, but I think there are hundreds and hundreds of these stories, and I think it's purely because of how they vary slightly. Whether, the Troll and Vitra story, where she was offered something to eat and she still refused because she knew that she should never accept anything that's freely given. And because she did that, when the midwife returned home, she had this gift of silver spoons. Or you had the one that was completely foolish, and the Fae said to her, here's your reward, and it was a bag. Don't look in it until you're home. And on the way home, she couldn't resist the curiosity and looked in the bag, and it was cold, so she chucked it out the carriage. But then the Fae said to her, you shouldn't have done that, you're a fool, basically. And when she got home and opened the bag, the last few bits that were there had turned into fairy gold.
The fact even a bag of coal back then would have been quite something, it's heating material.
Yeah.
Good coal as well. You can sell to the smith or to the...
Is the fact that there are differences. It's the, don't be greedy and don't, let curiosity get the better of you. And then there's also the don't always accept everything that's freely given to you.
Don't take from strangers.
There's probably going to be a catch.
Yeah.
So there is loads of different things that seem to be the nuances and changes between these stories.
That being said, how many midwives do you think we've lost over the years? The thing, they accepted a gift and somehow was like, you're part of us now. You're in here.
I don't know. That's an interesting concept.
How many have we lost throughout history of just
I'm kind of thinking of a certain person that is my friend that is very, kooky, elaborate and loud and loves Fae, and would probably love that if that had happened to her, because she's obviously midwife by trade. I think that she would have absolutely loved that.
Smuggled away into the Fae. I don't know. They might just come back after a while saying it's stupid nonsense there. It's like the Alice through the Looking Glass world. Nothing makes sense. Everything is a metaphor or not a metaphor or something. And you can't do anything right. Everything's wrong.
There was going back to one of the books that I had read recently, there was the theory that obviously, as I said, that Fae couldn't have their own children anymore. And that they had to create a halfling with a human. But it couldn't be any human. It could only be their soulmate.
Okay.
Because it went back to the theory that they were born as one and cut in half. And one was put in the Fae realm and one was put in the human realm.
Is this isn't like a fantasy story or folklore?
This was an actual fantasy story, but it pulls on folklore, and it pulls on the theory, one of the Roman, was it Greek? Greek or Roman?
They're pretty much the same, and I'm going to get shot for that from a lot of people.
Probably.
But they are very much nearly the same.
Philosophers that said that we were born as a whole and then we're cut in half and we spend our life searching for our soulmate, and my mind has gone very, very blank because I know who he is and the name is on the tip of my tongue and it's really annoying.
You'll get there. I can't remember Mordred's name.
Is it Aristotle?
You think I'm looking it up? I'm not. I'm looking at.
You're not looking at. Help me! Ow!
I'm trying to find the storybook. There's no.
It's the books that I bought recently.
We've brought a lot of books recently.
I know, we have too many books in this house. No, it was the... Oh, God. You're asking me to think of two things at once after a day at work. This is not helpful. I will find the book and I will put the series in the comments underneath this episode, because it's going to drive me nuts and I'm not going to be able to think of it.
It was Plato. Zeus splits humans in half to create male and female counterparts.
Yeah, and that's the concept of where the soulmate comes from, because you spend your life searching the world to find your soulmate, your other half.
I'm trying to find this novel now that you were talking about. Wait, is this the one where they end up like they just walk for ages? And
that was one book where they did literally walk for like pretty much a whole book.
I mean, I love a good walking book.
But
the entirety of
I was going to say Lord of the Rings
is a walking book. A few novels off the top of my head. Look at the bookshelf; they're empty at the moment.
I know.
I'm looking at the pile of books going.
We're in boxes because we're in the process of buying our first house, so we're kind of sat amongst boxes at the moment, which is why we haven't done any video. So once we're in the new house, it'll be fine. We'll set up a space to do it. But yeah, we've got so many books. Oh, that's bugging me now. I'm not going to be able to find it.
I'll say throwing up quick searches and all that. I mean, I don't think there's any of those ones. Yeah, Changeling.
Come out of the rabbit hole. You're going down the rabbit hole.
No, I'm here. I like it in here. There's rabbits in Nesquik cereal.
No.
Everyone's sort of going, "Ah!" No one just know what he said. I can't help it.
No, I will find the links to the books and I will put them in the comments. It'll be easier.
Yeah, and then I'll have to read them.
But you're going to moan because there's going to be one book of just walking. Well, they're not technically walking.
Please say there is at least one page where it describes a tree. Because it's not a fantasy series unless you describe a tree at least once.
No, because the Wild Hunt is in there as well.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
And Fae ride horses that are skeleton horses from the Wild Hunt.
Okay. A lot of cross mythologies there.
And it has Mab in it as well. And she is evil, Mab. She is the queen of the Seelie court and also the court of winter. No, not winter. Autumn. Because they have the season courts as well, just to make it even more complicated.
But that's very Seelie. It's not Seelie. I think it is Seelie. You have the Winter Queen.
Yeah, because and she steals the children of the other kings and queens to control them. Someone's going to know what book I'm talking about.
There's a lot like that, I reckon.
So far, there's 3, maybe 4. I think there's the 4th has just been released. I can't remember.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of a Changeling game that we played where we were caught in the middle of like the changing of courts, but one person was not willing to give up the time, and we ended up with the Fae of the Harvest, which was a scarecrow. Like the concept in...
Okay, that's very Norse. Yeah. And that's also Hoodening symbolism as well.
Slavic as well. I think there's Slavic ones as well. But, and it ended up with us being trapped between the different courts, so we're having to try and... It was a very sort of political game with a bit of mystery around it because I screwed up time. My character was basically a gnome. So you look like a human, but to other changeling, you look like your thing. So I was like a gnome type creature.
Okay.
And he was a clockmaker who was stolen, and basically worked for a fae and making clocks and making time and making thousands upon thousands and thousands of clocks like that. So the way he escaped was to set each clock slightly inaccurately. So at one given point, every single one of them will lose balance and just go completely throughout the time. So the fae that had him captured was, went nuts because every cuckoo clock was going out of sync, every single bell and whistle and everything was going off at the wrong times. So distracted and managed to escape. Well, it turned out the fae captor for this character was in fact Father Time, and I've just screwed up the entirety of the fae timeline.
What game was this that you were playing?
It's Changeling. It's by White Wolf, so similar to like you got like things like Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf, Werewolf Forsaken, Changeling. There's once we played Mummies. There's There's loads of different concepts. White Wolf, but they use a lot of their mythology in their books as well. And it was like, as I was saying, we're caught between the different courts, and there's the season courts. One didn't want to change because there was a promise to another one. I can't remember the details of that bit.
Yeah.
Because I was too busy panicking about, time ripping apart. And I'm useless at political games and writing political things.
Why? You're the most sarcastic Aggie, when it's needed to be, getting point across person I know.
Yeah.
And that's putting it very PC.
But in political games, it's got to be very, you've got to be very astute, very,
You are astute.
What I mean is you can't swear at someone and punch them in the nose when you can't get away with it. When you don't get your way.
No, but you say that with flowery language. Have a nice burst vocabulary.
You've heard me speak, right? You have seen me speak. You've heard me speak and seen how I write.
I talk a certain way when I'm at work, and I talk a certain way when I'm at home.
True.
You laugh when I do my work voice.
It's like my phone voice changes completely. Very, very professional. Basically, because I fear talking down a phone anyway.
Why?
I can't see the person's lips, so I have difficulty hearing. That's my fake us. Being slightly deaf, I have to be able to read someone's lips to be able to hear it. That's why when I'm in the kitchen or something, you start talking, I cannot hear a thing.
Am I going to spend the rest of my life around to you yelling in the kitchen going, "Oi!"
Yep, pretty much.
Getting a hearing aid or a hearing trumpet.
Hearing trumpet. But it's so many concepts of the changing of seasons, the different fae houses, the different like that. Then it's also with the concept of the wild hunt. I always love the idea of someone saying the wild hunt is here, and you have to sit and go, which one?
Yeah.
Are we going to get like Odin and all that suddenly appear through Midgard, or are we going to get the fae hunt coming through, or are we getting a load of well, it's not really mythology, is it? That's The Witcher.
Your Hern Hunter.
Hern Hunter as well.
That fits more with Celtic kind of historical wise anyway, not religion wise. But yeah, there are very many variations of the hunt, and like you have with your more Norse practices, with your religion wise that you have the hunt over the Christmas period, don't you?
Yep. Where the hunt is called, the horns like that, and they release creatures across all the realms and all that. So at one point they will come through Midgard, and if you're caught out in the road, you will be caught up in the hunt and probably killed. Because gods don't give a crap. As much as people like the idea of them helping you, they don't give a crap.
Yeah.
And that's the way the concept of you put out cider and carrots. Carrots for the horses, cider for the riders.
Funny how that's been adapted.
Yeah, it's now milk and cookies.
And carrots for the reindeer.
And brandy could add Santa.
Yeah. Mum, could you add enough already?
Our house has never really lasted. Like, so we're going to put some food out. I was like, it's gone now. It's like, House of dogs. Yeah.
Couldn't do that with my dog. And then the fact that we also had the rats as well. So it's like, no food anywhere, because we used to let the rats run around the living room whilst the dog was still in there. And I had 8 rats at the same time.
Oh, I thought you meant like me with like farm rats where they just run through the house.
No, pet rats.
Oh, okay. I was saying, like, hang on. No, I wouldn't like see a rat running around. It's like, bang, there it goes.
No. So that was kind of food gone. No.
I always had the question as a kid. And it was the ultimate one for like the whole complete. Well, I know we're completely gone away from midwives and all that, but with Santa, like being in a caravan, there's no chimney. It's not even a boiler flute to go. Or thing like that. Like, how'd you get in? And it's instantly sold by the kids' cartoon, where Santa lands on a thing, looks at it, and gets a can opener, and just opens the roof.
So my uncle used to do for my cousins. He would do the whole footprints from the conservatory doors in through the house because they didn't have a chimney. Whereas my dad, he didn't do that crap. He was the one that still just woke us up at about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning by sending the dog in to jump on you and banging the kitchen doors banging the kitchen doors as loud as possible and just doing anything and everything extremely loud because he wanted to open presents.
Yeah, fair enough. I've got to enjoy the enthusiasm.
Yeah, I wanted to stay in bed.
I think it was one of the saddest points. Oh, we kind of got off with Christmas, and it's like September. Oh, I'm hating myself already for talking about this. But it was my mum said, like, I truly knew my children had grown up. Was the day that she came into our room, and there was me, and my brother, passed out, hungover as all hell, because we were above 18 and all that. And she goes, your children have gone when they no longer wake up for Christmas because they'd passed out or hungover completely with a stolen traffic light and traffic cones.
Yeah, it was part of the course.
Yep.
It was just Christmas Eve. You go to the local pub, they had the big open fire because we was in a village where I was living, and they'd have the lock-in. You'd be absolutely off your trolley, weaving back through the lanes to get home, and then get up with the most stonking hangover in the world, go round to the in-laws and start all over again.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not going to go into the story about the traffic lights because I'm going to save that one for a little bit later on. Like if we do a Christmas special, if you will, like that.
No, Christmas.
Yeah, I know, it's a horrible thing. So, midwives. That's how we started with this one. Now we've ended up a complete tangent.
Come on, we've got the fun holiday to go. Yeah, we've got Samhain.
I thought you were going to connect it to a midwife then, suddenly.
No.
Fun holidays.
Samhain! Yeah, okay, midwives gone down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
Sorry.
Did you ever meet your midwife?
No.
When you were born? I did. Being in a small village, But
born in Pembury.
Me being born in a small village.
Yeah, but I was born in Pembury. It's just known as the place that someone left the door open because it's always so cold and windy.
Fair enough. Yeah, there was one day I was just walking from the house when we finally moved into a house like up the road, and it was like this old lady stopped and chopped me, and I assumed one of the locals and things like that, and then it was my mum said, "Oh no, that was your midwife. She helped give birth."
That is weird.
Yeah,
that is really weird.
Yeah, but ancient. It was time like that. I mean, she was ancient at the time and things like that. Bless her, she's probably long past from when I met her.
Did your mum have a home birth?
No.
Then that's weird.
Yeah. I think it's because we used to have like the local doctor, so we had a local sawbones, and so the midwife was part of the village, would go to the village, and so all of the pre-care and post-care was done by the nurse or a midwife.
Okay.
But then she was tied to the hospitals as well. So that's how, when you live out in the middle of the sticks and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up mainly in a town for the most part. And then when we did move rural, the only thing we had to worry about was the fact that the village flooded every year, or every 3 years, and we had to get out by a canoe.
I would be absolutely panicked if my old home village flooded. It was up a very big hill, on top of another hill, which was on top of another hill.
They built the village out of an old orchard.
No, that'd be why then.
Yeah. So I got very good with the canoe.
No, I think, bless it, I think, like, for my mum giving birth to me, I think I sent her a sorry card on my birthday.
You sent her what?
I once sent her a sorry card because, well, my mum was 5'3", very small. It's a very small lady.
Yeah, she is.
And I came out 10.5 pounds and 57 centimetres long. I made up 3/4 of her body weight, I reckon.
You are a lanky bugger.
What a lanky? I was built like a brick house. I was a chunky baby. And I lived in, my family's very middle, average height, very small demeanour and things like that. And then you got me.
Yeah, you're kind of the odd one out of all of them when they're in the lineup.
Yep. But I met the midwife that helped bring me into the world. That saying, the very first thing I did ever hear was, "Oh my God, you've been given birth to Frank Bruno." Because I was a big chunky baby with very dark skin. As was the style at the time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Mum's ever mentioned anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was born in hospital and they were living in a town, so there wasn't anything like that. I didn't have that kind of setup. Maybe there is another thing about it that the midwives were known more locally and they needed that kind of magic.
Oh, yeah, it's the local witch thing. So I know I bring this up pretty much every single, like, Terry Pratchett does a really good cover. It's the local witch.
Yeah.
Births, deaths, illnesses, see the local witch. And it's always the go see the local know-it-all herbalist person that can help you out sort of thing. And that's why, that being said, I wonder if there's actually stories, like, not just midwives, if the Fae have also dragged other professions over.
I don't know.
I mean, it would make sense for them not to take a blacksmith or something, the whole aversion to cold iron. And to iron touched and things like that.
Saying that, I hate to go back to the book I was reading, they had cages in their dungeon built out of iron.
Best way to hold a Fae.
So they had to have someone do it that could hold iron.
True, so they probably nicked a blacksmith at some point. I don't think there's a dedicated smith for a cage.
Don't know. Why didn't the author go into that?
Damn, these authors are not building huge plot worlds.
Instead, they were walking and camping for a book.
I'm going to walk and camp for it instead of, like, I want full dedicated history.
Backstory of everything, everyone.
Like the Wheel of Time. Anytime something is mentioned slightly, he has to explain the entirety of it. So just keep going and keep going, keep going. Like, I think if you get around certain parts, it's like, yep, this is a really great story. But sometimes, oh my God, get on with it.
Who was it that I've read that was like that? There was another book like it. It was one of the, like the vampire series that they try and be like Anne Rice and they're really not. Like the young adult ones that came out about 5-6 years ago. There was quite a big fad of them that came back out.
There's a whole load of them.
I know. But there was one where they were trying to describe just this hideout that this vampire was in. And it went on for a chapter, just outlining where they lived. It was an entire chapter.
Yeah, but there was that sort of classic thing of over-explaining something. Oscar Wilde did it, a whole page on the wallpaper.
True. Dracula, there is a very long explanation. But
it is Dracula's castle, though.
Castle versus a hideout.
True. I mean, some places deserve a very long explanation of, like, how they look, so you got things. But sometimes it's like, you've spent too long explaining a hole in the ground.
Yeah, it did get to the point where I was just like, will you just get on with it?
Yeah. I've gone through a few books of that where I sit there and go, and, okay, right, and now they're carrying on.
I think that's why I didn't like Harry Potter. I read one chapter and chucked it in the bin.
Do you know that was voted, like, the best opening line for a book series?
It is not the best opening line.
What was it? It just talks about Privet Drive. And it's just like, and it was voted, this is the greatest thing ever. And I was like, I'm sorry, this beat A Hobbit Hole somehow?
Yeah.
Or, any other book in the world? Aardvark in the dictionary was a good opening line.
Yeah. Or,
I know it's not the first line, but it was the first thing that came off the top of my head.
I'm trying to opening to Moby Dick's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I
could pretty much go over to the bookshelf of the empty stuff at the moment.
The opening to Frankenstein. Yeah, there are so many better book openings than that.
I mean, literally, I've just grabbed a random book because we only got 4 on the shelf at the moment.
Yeah, you might want to expand on the fact that we have about 7 boxes full of books at the moment. And the rest.
That ain't considerate. Felix Jaeger looked northwards from the gate towards the height above the other. Okay, maybe not that one. That was just because you got to read the book beforehand. Ah! My point stands. that there are so many other novels out there, but someone said this was generally a panel went, this is the greatest opening line. I'm going to talk about a singular road of non-importance in a really badly written book.
No. Nuh-uh. That's why I went in the bin. Lord of the Rings, those books I have cherished since I was a teenager. They are worn as anything, but they stay in their lovely pristine cover that I have for them. Or my vintage Charles Dickens. He did even better openings than that. But no. And I don't care, that's my opinion. Everyone can have their own. If you love the book, you love the book. If you love the films, you love the films. But I just... No.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea.
I think this is the second time we've slated Harry Potter. But,
I'm a Lord of the Rings girl. I'm not Harry Potter.
They don't hit in the same league.
Nope.
There was the classic one. Someone was like, "Oh, who would win in a fight, Dumbledore versus Gandalf?" And you can clearly see the Potter fans are going, "Dumbledore!" And it's like, "Come on,
really?
An angel sent from the gods against old man who uses a child as a meat shield." Read the books, you'll see why. The whole entire juxtaposition is, "Why didn't you tell me about this important thing, Dumbledore?" If you ever get a chance, read Background Slytherin. It's a really great comic strip. I've forgotten the artist's name, but it literally takes all the shit out of that sort of thing, of like how Dumbledore literally uses Harry as a meat shield.
But I won't get the time back.
No.
It's like, some of my friends are really, really into the books, but they don't like Lord of the Rings. So I think there is a bit of a divide between the two. And they tried doing that. Oh, what house was I in or something? And I was like, I don't even know what they are.
Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's the house I'm in.
And they're like, how do you not know that? Well, I explained what I did with the book. And they went, well, have you not watched any of the films? Like, no, I have not wasted my time. And then they was like, oh, well, we'll just do the quiz anyway to find out what house you're in. And then they did the quiz and they were like, oh my God, you're a Hufflepuff. And I was like, what the hell is a Hufflepuff?
Stoners who live by a kitchen. It's the general description. When I'm asked like what house I'm in, it was one of those, like, I'd pull out like Australian animals, because you've obviously got the English and then there's the European version, there's the American version, but everyone forgets Australia down the bottom, so they've got to have wizards. So it's like, oh, what house were you in? Dingo. Dingo house. 4X. The Bogan house. We're the house of the Bogan. And I wish I could claim that joke. It's actually an Australian friend who told me this one. And but they do it with more deadpan faces. Like, when I was asked, it was the Bogan house. It's like, we're the house of mullets and bad cars. And smoking menthols. And you just watch these people go, no, seriously. Bogan is a native animal with a magical background. They appeared out of nowhere. They're there.
I like this version. What house would we be then?
I've said dingo.
You're just sticking with dingo.
Yeah. I can't remember like the actual descriptions off the top of my head. That's a lie. I can. I just don't want to be a nerd.
I don't know. I have no idea what house I've been in. What house would I be in then?
Not right. Do the quiz. Ask a random weird person. Winnie the Pooh. There you go.
Winnie the Pooh.
You're Winnie the Pooh's house. Don't go near Tiggers. I like the fact that people have tuned into this expecting a nice in-depth thing about midwives, and now we're just slating.
I'm just coming and realise now that we're on to what? This is the third one of these that we've done.
Yeah.
We start off with good intentions, but as with anything, when you do two people that have autism issues, you go down rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm. Also, I just drank a load of coffee on top of pre-workout. So
you get distracted by the shiny microphone that changes colours in front of you.
I've been ignoring that for the last 2 podcasts.
I'm like, is there?
That's why I have to use my one at my desk, because it doesn't. It just has a flashy light on the other side of turn around.
I don't think I got this one. It's like, it's shiny. It's like all shiny and pretty, and it goes around in a sequence, and you just can't stop staring at it.
I don't know, it's all brown to me. It's just different colours of brown. I think I might be colourblind. I do need to get a pop mic for my one, though, because my next podcast that I have recorded, unfortunately, there is a few very powerful P's in names and things, and it does sort of pop through a bit, and I couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah, but we're only starting out with this, so
True.
It's been an experiment so far. I mean, I've always been interested in the folklore. You've always been interested in folklore, and we're like, okay, we'll try making a couple of videos and see if anyone watches them. And then by some miracle, people did. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to brave it. I'm going to use my real voice because I hate my real voice, and I'll just try it. And then I had some really nice comments from some people saying that my narration was lovely and that my voice sounded very nice to do the storytelling.
And then they tune in for the next episode. Like, hello! I'm going to mispronounce things like Bath, Grass and Castle just to really annoy everyone.
Yeah, it really annoys me. It's Bath.
It's not, it's Bath.
Bath.
Where's the R?
Bath.
Point where the R is. I'll accept if you can point where the R is.
Built into the A depending on how you write it.
No, you can't put extensions on that.
Yeah, I can.
No. That's just weird conveyancing.
I'm a lawyer, try me.
I am. Prove where the R is.
Told you. Depending how you write it, it's there.
You could also put, Normandy in the middle of Castle if you wanted to, if you spell it the wrong way. It doesn't make it right. I
meant in the form of font that you use. Depending on the correct font that you use, there is an R in the A.
What font are you using? Is it Comic Sans?
Nope.
Then it'll be Comic Sans.
Nope.
So it depends on the font.
Yes.
Well, according to my handwriting, it's not Castle. It's I can't write. I have tried for 37 years of trying to write. I have not learned this skill.
The face I'm pulling. I can't say anything. I have the typical lawyer handwriting. It's like chicken scratch, and you got to try and look at it sideways on a good day under the perfect light to understand what I'm saying.
Oh, I was like, you have seen mine, and yeah.
It's where mine is so quick for note taking that I end up doing like 3 words per line on a page, and it just takes on the entire page because it's just scribble it down without looking.
For ages, I just end up writing with the block capitals to make them smaller.
How do you have time to do that? If you're sat with a client and they're giving you instructions on stuff, then you've got to scribble, and you've got to scribble fast.
Yeah, that's the difference. I never work with clients.
Lucky you.
No. I was a welder for years. Well, the person I need you to dictate how to do this weld, or done. With the leather working as well. What do you want? Done. Not with the, but it's done.
The gesture that you're creating there, that's not the kind of thing you want to do for welding.
It is just point. All right, I could explain the tap to get it started. Then you do your little Christmas tree, but depending on what you do your infill, then you run on. I can go into this a lot more if you want.
No, please don't.
Then we get to smithing and metallurgy.
No, please don't.
This is why the Fae don't come near our house. I'm not going near that one. Why is that? He's got so much iron ingrained in his hands and his arms.
Oh dear.
Generally, I'll be like, you want to go into against the Warriors, the Fae just throw me and Spike and all that in.
So you vaping now makes me want my vape.
Yep. I have to do it. It's the...
Do something with your hands.
Rubik's Cube and things to click and...
I get it.
Yep.
It's the things like...
What are we talking about again?
Yeah.
Midwives! and Fae!
Fae! Yeah, that went off track bad.
Yeah, so you can do a lot more on different Fae.
Not straight away, because I think that would become very boring very quickly.
I don't know. I feel like, if it was a constant, you did a 6-hour tutorial? Lecture?
Yes.
Oh, there are some that I have seen that are hours and hours long. And
Are you going to feed me the coffee for that one?
Just give you an IV.
That'll work.
6 hours condensed down to half a minute.
No, that just makes me normal.
Just pound 2 cans of Monster and go for it. Other energy drinks
that makes me sleepy.
Yeah, I mean, to cover the Fae, yeah, it would take a lot, and especially Fae around the world, and you could spend hours talking about one of the courthouses.
I know. There's so many things you could cover with it. So I'm not going to go on to another Fae subject straight away. I'm going to kind of sprinkle them in amongst other things. And I'm actually venturing outside of the UK for my next one.
I have slightly. I think I revealed this like the last one, to say that I'm doing the topic on giants.
Mm.
There are so many different styles. It's like I could have easily gone with the Norse, and because there are so many giant stories with the Norse mythology. So I covered Ymir. But England seems to be the land. I say England, Great Britain, and Ireland. On top of that, are the capital of giants. But I did find I just went, okay, I've got a giant story. I gave 3 of the most known.
Hmm.
And then I want to go and do another one on different ones from around the world.
Okay.
Every region has giants.
There were some nice giant stories in the book that I was doing research on for this one. One of the ones I was reading. So I might dig that out for the next discussion then.
Just remember the question I was going to ask you beforehand.
Go on.
Your first discussion, your first topic where you used your own voice, was that the Jack O'Kent one?
It might have been.
Because that's the most popular one so far.
Is it?
The number of people that have viewed and tuned into it, Jack O'Kent.
Hold on. No. Let me go into... see, I'm taking this YouTube business seriously. I have the YouTube Studio app on my phone now.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a bit of a ritual. I'm waking up every morning and going, oh my god, new people have watched.
You do send me updates as we go through the day. I'll get it at work.
Excuse me. Yeah. I never thought that anyone would be hugely interested, and that's just my confidence issues. So for me to actually do this, it's been a lot. As you saw me doing my first one, I was very like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing it.
It's proven that people are liking it. I just like the fact that over 2,000 people have just walked into a room with you and gone, tell me more. Like, that's incredible.
I know, and I'm really, really grateful for everyone kind of bearing with whilst we figure this out, and like doing the alterations by bringing you in with me and having these discussion sessions and just kind of giving everyone a chance to get to know us a bit more with it as well. I think that brings a bit more of humility to the channel. I think that's the way I'd like to see it grow, rather than feeling like it is robotic, because me just telling a story, for example, with the video that I create, I think people would sit there and go, you're not using your real voice, you're just going to continue using, an AI thing, which I did do for the first 2 because I was terrified of using my own voice. And now that we're in a part where we're starting to work out programs to use and starting to work out what direction we want to move the channel in, and seeing it grow at, a nice steady pace with people.
Yeah, it's been great.
And it's not something I ever imagined. And I'm amazed by it.
I remember when you first started, you went, I've just created this little video using this, that, and the other thing like that. And I was like, that's cool. And you stuck it on YouTube. And all of a sudden, bam, it appeared. And it was like, then you went, I've got to do another one. Then you got the hook and all that. And then, of course, I jumped in because it was like, we're telling stories.
It was one of those things, as I said to you, that, as I said earlier, we're in the process of moving. We are half in boxes, half not at the moment, because we're kind of nearly at the point of being able to move, fingers crossed. So a lot of the stuff that we do craft-wise has been packed away for a couple of months. Like, your leather workshop's been packed down for a couple of months. My silversmithing workshop's been packed down for a couple of months. And I got to the point where, because I'm such a creative person, I couldn't take it anymore. So I need that outlet.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I was like, well, I don't have to unpack any boxes. Let's just see what happens. And that was the experiment. and I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah. And also the fact that the number of times when we just sit here and chat absolutely everything about anything and all that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the interesting things about it. It's how conversations, people probably think that we script everything, but we don't. Or we sit there with a load of bullet points going, this is what we're going to talk about. And, some people work that way, which is fine, but we don't. When we are at home of an evening, we have random conversations about something that can be the most in-depth thing in the world. And I think that's why it was nice to be able to use that, where we're, like we're recording now, we're both just sat here with the microphone, sat on the sofa, cup of coffee, and just talking about it.
I think sometimes when we're sitting there, we're going, and we're discussing points and all that, and suddenly go, we should just be recording this because this is exactly what we're meant to be talking about. So we quickly put the camera, put the thing up with that. I mean, my big issue is obviously when we're doing the normal podcast like we are, there is a script that we've written out and gone through, and bullet point like that. It's like the dyslexia doesn't help.
No, but you're still human.
Yeah, but I'm a very active storyteller, like round campfires and all that. I get up and I move around and I walk around and I use my voice and things like that. Of course, projecting into the microphone has proven a bit too much. It's trained to talk to. The
microphone has to be pulled away from you and closer to me because I have a softer voice than you do.
And also, my vocal training was done for boat tours, so I'm rowing at the exact same time talking to 12 people on a boat, and it's a lot of town through a city as well, so I had to talk over the whole thing, so I project very loud. Also, around the campfire, I stand up and move around, so I'm trying to work out a way if I could just attach a mic to myself, I could run around the house whilst doing it.
I mean, when we're in the new house, I think having the dedicated area would be nice. So then we can do, brave it even more. At the moment, the thought of going on camera still is a bit like, oh my God, that terrifies me even more than just using my voice. But it's something that I'd like to try and see how it goes, even if it's just set up on the side so that, we're not looking at it. It's not that staged.
I don't know, I'm going to have to really behave and so I might sit there and pick my nose or something, my normal sort of, I'm not a compulsory nose picker or anything like that. You just absentmindedly, you think no one's watching, scratch yourself or walk around.
No, I think it's just being who we are. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to reveal the title of my next one. You just have to wait.
You haven't even told me yet.
No.
Well, you may have told me, but I was in the kitchen and couldn't hear.
I'll get you the trumpet. Well, I've got a week, so we're kind of giving ourselves a week to do some research, to do an episode. So.
Yep. Well, I've already got my one out.
All right, eager beaver.
Yeah, no, I was bored at work. Oh, I'm going to get fired now, aren't I?
You haven't said your name, as in your full name and where you work. You're all good. Don't worry.
They'll know. They will find out. They always know. But for me, it's giants, but for you, it's a mystery.
The only thing I will say, the main one I'm focusing on that gave me the inspiration for the next episode is not based in the UK. I'm venturing out.
Any hint of region?
No.
No.
I will give you the name when we get to the point where you get to do your counter research ready for this kind of episode. And...
wait, I'm meant to counter research this thing?
You're meant to.
I'm making this up as I go along.
I actually do counter research against yours.
Oh, I just read your script. Okay, I'm going to talk points and come up with something random.
Wow.
I don't even research half my stuff. I just go, there's a mic, let's do it. That's a lie. I do have to research a lot.
I was going to say, you sit there and do more research.
Because I'm a geek.
I'm used to doing research. It's just like, pull everything in and let's go.
So not even a hint of a location. Not Armenia, is it?
No.
All right, because I've got one for there.
I have got to make sure I'm doing the pronunciation of this right as well, because it's going to be a difficult one.
That's what I'm looking forward to, some of the Afrikaans ones as well. Because I will apologise profusely with my pronunciation there.
You're in luck.
I know. The problem is the people that I know from Africa are all South African, so they always pronounce everything slightly different. And these are all like from the Congo, stories from the Congo, from Uganda.
Well, the creature of the folklore that I'm interested in for next week is... Well, no, next week's your one. The week after is based in Africa.
Ooh.
So I'm going to be well out of my comfort zone for normal stuff. But I thought I'd challenge myself.
Please say it's not Umbondo.
Not saying.
That's one of the giants I'm doing.
No, it's not giant.
Yeah, it's not giants. Giants is my thing.
Yeah. I think I'll leave that one to you.
All right. Well, should we leave that mystery high on a mystery there? We've gone from midwives to slaving Harry Potter to talking about being a giant baby. And basically a tangent of like what we're doing and why we started this, really. It's a great little tangent that was.
It's nice to go through it all.
I suppose we have to go back and actually talk more about midwives, because there's got to be more mythology around them.
Yeah, possibly. But we'll see as we go through more stuff. Okay. So I think that's going to be us then for this week. And we'll be back to discuss your topic next week.
Giants! We're going to the end of the Jotun. Or Jota.
So the podcast will be released on Tuesday with Kriss's stories. And then we'll be back on Thursday with our folklore extra. So
Take your research on for that one.
I'm not great with giants, so I'm definitely going to need to counter research. Okay. Well, I'm going to say goodbye for now.
Well, I'm going to say, do like and subscribe, though. Always got to remember that one, because I keep forgetting it at the end of the podcast and have to add it in. So, like and subscribe. Comment, please. We do want to hear from people out there, like stories that you like, any mythology or folklore you'd like us to go into more details with. Like, we are really open suggestions. It would be amazing to hear from some people. Like, I know, we see the likes, we see the...
There's been some lovely comments so far from people. So I'm really, really grateful for those. And yeah, just the support whilst we build and get used to this. So yeah.
Cool. I'm going to say goodbye then.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.